Hi guys, thank you and welcome back to my channel. So this week, we're actually going to go in and talk about part 3 of my rhinoplasty surgery. So this week, we're going to go in and I'm going to go in and answer all the questions you guys have been asking on Instagram, YouTube, and everything regarding rhinoplasty and buccal fat removal. So if y'all interested in to see how much everything costs, the rhinoplasty, the buccal fat, and the whole process, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel right down below. Ring the bell button right here for next week notification. I want to try to post a little bit more often. Also, don't forget to follow me on all my social media at bella.c.snow. I also post a lot on Instagram story, also a smaller version on IGTV, so check everything out right in there. Okay, so if you want to see how much everything costs, stick around and I'm going to tell you everything. Okay. I'm trying to keep myself hydrated because I'm keep losing my voice. Because in LA it's currently like 45 degrees outside right now, so it's freaking cold. I'm in my like PJ right now because I haven't changed my outfit. I haven't decided what I'm gonna wear tonight yet for Valentine's Day because it's kind of cold and all my clothes is, you know how girl, even though it's really cold and we just have to wear like hooch it up, so we're gonna freeze to death but we're gonna look good. But then we're gonna end up getting like a cold afterward or something. So that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. But let's just start out with why I got my nose surgery. So this is actually my second nose surgery. So they call that revision rhinoplasty. So the first one that I got is from, I think was from 2015, 14, 15. When I visited Vietnam, actually I didn't decide to do a nose job. I was there for like 2 months, something like that, to visit my mom. And we're like, I think it's the last 2-3 weeks, I'm like, let's get a nose job because it's much, if you know, it's much cheaper to get a rhinoplasty or any plastic surgery from out of country, especially if you're getting them from like Southern Asia. And I'm from Vietnam, so I got it there. And it was like pretty cheap. It's only like a couple of $1,000s. I would say around 4, maybe 5,000. So the first one I got was a closed rhinoplasty. They cut it closed because they only cut one hole from one side of your nose, from one of your nostril, from like on this side. They don't completely cut you open like from underneath here and then flip everything out. It's just like one little hole. So originally, like I know, like, oh, maybe if it's just like closed rhinoplasty, nobody gonna know that I got my nose done and all of that. And in Southern Asia, they do rhinoplasty and they tend to put, I think they call Gotek silicone into your nose. And I would not recommend you getting any silicone put into your nose because the nose is the only area in like the face that it doesn't really adjust well with silicone implants. The only thing you should put into your nose is cartilage, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more later. But I was like young, I was like 20 something, so I got my nose implant with silicone, and then I got back from to the state, and the first surgery actually I was awake, and it was not like putting under anesthesia anything, so they just like numb my nose really well, and it's all numb, and they just like, can you feel this? Like, no. So that's when the surgery start. So the surgery in Vietnam, it took like an hour and a half. They practically just cut it, and then I used to have like a hump right up here, so I kind of like shaved that down so my nose got a little bit more straighter. And then they just put in a silicone implant. I also have my nose resized to put it in Vietnam also. So I was like, when I first got it, I kind of liked it. And they didn't really like tape it how they tape it here really well. They just like, I don't think they even taped my nose. It's just like, I think it's just like that when I got out the surgery table. So I just went home and then I couldn't feel anything. Actually, after the surgery, we went out to eat. And then we went to get my pills, my painkiller, and I just stayed in the hotel for like a few days. And then after that, my nose doesn't bleed anymore, anything like that. And it was like not that swelling that much. So we're just like, oh, just gonna go out. And this was like a week or 2 before I had to go back to the state. So I just go back the week after to get my stitch removed, and that's about it. And then a few days later, I went I flew back to America. And then that was kind of like a little bit more dramatic for my nose because they don't recommend you moving too much after your rhinoplasty. But then I was like going all over the place, flying up the airplane, and with the air pressure, everything changed and all that stuff. And also when I got back, I have like a fashion show I had to do and like all of that, makeup, hair. And so a lot of people was touching my nose. So yeah, I think when I got back within like 3 days, it's the fashion show. I have like red eye to the fashion show and everything was horrible. For my nose, I would not recommend doing that. So after that, I guess my nose didn't take really well with the silicone implants. Within a year, it's kind of like start rejecting the silicone. It's getting infected. And if you see like Google a lot of silicone from Southern Asia, how you see it is infected. And sometimes if you get it too infected, it could get straight out to your nose, to the tip of your nose, like right in here, and leave like a hole. I know my nose was like infected. I went to like the doctor to ask to get it removed, but then I couldn't because then you have to pay like a couple more $1,000 just to get it removed alone. And we're like, ah. So I did wait for like a while, like a year after. So my nose was like infected for like a few months. So it's hurting really, really bad. And my nose was starting to like, I can feel the silicone piece like sliding down to the front, and it create my nose to look a little bit more droopier, a little bit like giant in the front. It's my nose originally was really bulbous, and then this created a lot more fluid into my nose. It make my nose like much bigger, and also more like, it's kind of like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Like my nose would practically look like one of the dwarf nose, like really droopy like that. So it was like horrible for like a year until I finally have the money to like finally get it removed. So the removal was pretty easy. It's just like, because the silicone, you can see the white part of the silicone right in there. So they just practically get a tweezer and hold onto the white and just pull the whole thing out because it's already poking through the inside where the surgery was. So that was like really easy. After they pull it out, everything just, I won't say snap back into place because kind of snap back, like shrink, but then after that it's starting to like form scar tissue right underneath my skin and make my skin then again going back up to like a little bit more bulbous. And then I still, after the surgery, I was left with like a little scar right in here. Like right down here. It's kind of like a notch right into my nostril. So it's like a cut right there. So it's like right in center of my face. And I have to look at it for like a long time. It was so annoying. You guys majority don't see it in photo because like majority I get it like edited out because I was so unconscious about it. But some video, I think you can see a little bit of it. Especially I decided to show on my first video. If you can see like the beginning, you can see like the notch right in there. So that is what we got fixed. So after that, until this year, we were saving up enough. So I have like saving for my surgery. Hold on. So after we got married, we kind of like start a saving for my surgery because I'm kind of starting to have a lot of surgery done in the future, like FFS, my breast implants done, my vocal cord, and the vocal cord because I got kind of like ruined. Like half of my vocal cord is kind of like paralyzed because that's why my voice is kind of like monotone and baritone like this, and sometimes it's cracked because I think it's half of my voice box got paralyzed after I got my surgery when I was like little. So yeah, we're gonna try to fix that in the future. But then a few years later, after we got married, we created a kind of like a saving for me to get my surgery, and this was practically my first surgery to get done this year. How I found my doctor, so I was looking online, researching all the doctor, and I find like the top doctors to do it. The doctor that I really wanted doesn't want to accept my case, and then I actually went through like 3 different doctors before, and they all like been in the business for so long, but then they still don't want to accept my case because Asian nose can be a little bit more trickier to achieve the goal. Plus I have a little bit more damage to my nose tip right in there, so nobody want to touch it. Also there's scar tissue so that kind of like create a whole bunch different issue until I met with Dr. Hyman. I was like, oh, take my case, please take my case. So after the first consultation, when I walked into the office with Dr. Hyman, it was like really nice, really calm. Everybody in there was like super nice. And you know when you like met someone and you kind of like vibe with them like really well, like that's how I feel with Dr. Hyman. Like he know how I feel about my scar, that I want it to be like removed, and he like looking at my option, like what I can do and what I cannot do. So I kind of like that option. He was like really patient with me in like the office, because majority of the other like rhinoplasty or plastic surgery, they go into the office and like, look at your nose, they give you like 5 minutes and you have to pay like $100 for like consultation alone. Like even though you still have to pay like $100 consultation with Hyman, I think a lot of other doctors is gonna be around like 300 or 500. Some is still gonna be 100, but they're gonna give you only like 5 minutes of their time. That look at it and like, no, we can't do it, and then you lost $100 or $500. But then when I go to Dr. Hyman, it was like really nice. He took his time to do my consultation. We would sit there for like, I think like 30 minutes or something like that, taking pictures and everything. And I show him like what my problem is, that I have scar tissue right up there. My nose is still bulbous because we didn't fix that, because the only time you can fix it if you do a full rhinoplasty, like lift everything up, and I don't know what they do under there. So we decide we're gonna do a full open rhinoplasty to get my nose tip a little bit more smaller. So now actually my nose is only like a month and a half after my rhinoplasty, so everything is still slightly swollen. Today is actually the first day that I take out my tape for my nose to prevent from swelling, because we're going out. So everything is still a little bit more swelling, especially from like my nose tip from like here down. I have a little bit more swelling on my, I think it's my right side, like over here, rather than my left side. It's already like kind of like going in, but the right side is still a little bit more swollen. But when we do the consultation, I ask him what I want to do, and I show him like picture what my goal is. Also, he took a lot of pictures, like front, side, 3/4, all of that. And then we went to the computer and he did all this thingy. It's kind of like Photoshop to kind of like estimate what my nose would look like after the surgery. And then we kind of like go back, kind of like fix it back and forth. And I love how you can actually message him after on Instagram on the DM, if just in case you like forgot something in the office. Like you always like when you go to the office, you always like forget the question, so he always like answer you right away when you like DM him on Instagram. So I love that. So he really take care of like his patients and be really patient about it. And I send him picture like, how about this, how about, you know how like picky I am, I edit a lot of photos. So like I edit my own photos. So I send it to him like, why don't we do something like this, and we meet somewhere in like the middle, because I know that Asian nose have a little bit more thicker skin, so we can't create a certain look, which kind of sucks, but I guess you have to work with what you have, so I can't really like change a lot. So yeah, so that's after a consultation. So I know right after the consultation that I think this is my doctor right here. So I talked to Andre a lot, because I already have enough like an estimate how much the price costs in LA. With other doctors, they kind of range around the same, and I'm gonna tell you about that, how much it total costs in like later. And then after the consultation, like, oh, I know this is gonna be my doctor. So actually we call like the same day to book my surgery date after my first consultation, because I already know like this is gonna be the one. Yeah, so I guess you know when you know. Okay, because I already went through like 3 different doctors and they're all like BSing, and I know like I get the vibe from Dr. Hyman how he like work, and I kind of like vibe with it. And then after that we kind of like schedule a second consultation, so they give me all the paperwork of all the tests and all the thing that I need to do before the surgery. So I did the consultation. This thing is like around Christmas time, December, I think a little bit before December. before Christmas, December 15 or something like that. And then I booked the surgery on January 7th. And then it's like not a lot of time for me to take out this test because they give me a list to do what all the test is. Ooh, where is it? Okay. So I have like a list of the tests, and mind you, this is during like the holiday, so everything is closed. Also, it's during the pandemic, so it's really hard to book like an appointment to get any test done. So I was calling my primary doctor like, oh, I need all this tests done to do for my surgery. So all these tests have to be done 5 to 7 days before your surgery, so they can like keep your surgery date and make sure you get all your tests done. So I got CBC, UA, PT, PTT, cam panel, palate counts. Practically every other test in here is for like check your blood level, to see if you can blood clot or something like that, and see how you're gonna work, how your body gonna react under anesthesia, if you're healthy or not, if you have any other issues, yada yada yada, all of that. Also, since we're all in a pandemic, I do have to take COVID test, and the COVID test depends on the surgery hospital or surgery room that they booked you at. They're gonna ask you to do a COVID test either 3 days before the surgery or the most 7 days before the surgery. So the first, he actually changed the surgery room for the 2 surgery he worked at. So the first one to actually have the testing inside, but then he kind of changed it 2 weeks before the surgery. So I'm like freaking out, like, oh shit. So now where am I gonna get my COVID test? I have to schedule a private test from like One Medical. We have that in our insurance. So we book it 7 days before the surgery. And they are really picky with how many days before you can book it, because it has to be exactly that same like 3 or 7 days. If you like miss 1 day, because I have my test in like the day before, but then they could take it, so I had to reschedule like the next day and all that stuff for the COVID test. So it have to be like 7 days, exactly 3 days before your surgery. So make sure you got that test like scheduled right away for all that COVID tests. So yeah, it was a lot of testing for like during pandemic and holiday season. I was stressed out. So with prepping for the nose, rhinoplasty, like I think 2 weeks before, you can't take like all the vitamin that I took. It's like vitamin E, anything that blood thinning. You can't take like melatonin, and I used to take melatonin at night to help me sleep, and I can't take that for like 2 weeks. So you can't take any of that stuff. And I would recommend getting Amica pill, and take that about 2 days, 1 or 2 days before your surgery, and continue taking it a week or 2 after the surgery. But also talk to your doctor about it. It's Amica. I think that's how they spell it. They have like a cream version, also like a pill version. It's like a natural pill you can get from like this drugstore or Amazon. It's help with bruising, also swelling. So I took that like 2 days before the surgery and continued taking that for like a week after surgery. That's why you look in my surgery video, I'm not that swelling. My swelling is like to a minimal, and I don't get any bruising at all, so probably because of that. And also purchase a lot of like tape. I'm gonna link a link right down below to show you which tape I use for your nose, because it's like a certain size that is better for your nose, and something like that. You can also ask your doctor to like use the tape that they tape your nose in the office. He's gonna give it to you. A lot of people also ask me about rib cartilage. So when we did my consultation, I did give him an option to use my ear cartilage or my rib cartilage, because being Asian, he said a lot of Asian nose, the septum is really small and the cartilage in there is not big enough. So the first option is to go to the ear. If they need more cartilage, a bigger piece of cartilage, they're gonna go to your right ribs. And so yes, I told him like, you can take whatever you want, my ear, my rib, whatever. So we just signed paper for that. So when the day of the surgery, since mine is revision rhinoplasty, he couldn't know if I knew how much cartilage I need until he like get into the surgery. But I was lucky enough to, when he opened me up, he seen that my septum cartilage was like a larger than normal cartilage. So he have enough cartilage in there to use, so he don't have to cut my ear or my rib cage cartilage. But I would recommend letting your doctor having that option to use the cartilage for your surgery. And the reason why they only use the right rib cartilage because it's further from the heart, because getting cartilage on your rib, you can get there's a chance of like puncture your lung or something, and they don't usually do it on your left because that's closer to your heart. So that's why they're always gonna stay on your right rib cartilage. I asked him to do my left one because I have a tattoo on my right one, so that's what he told me, that the reason why he do like they only do on my like the right side of the cartilage, right side of your rib, because it's further away from your heart. And then because I have the scar right in there, the only thing that he took from my ears was actually like skin graft to kind of like patch up the scar and then the notch right in here to fix my nostril. So if I go like this, you can't really see the notch anymore. So that is kind of like cut out and replaced with like skin graft. So I feel like my nose right now is still like healing. My nose tip definitely a little bit more smaller. I asked him when I do my consultation, I want it to be a little bit more straighter, how I like to do my contour. Also my nose tip to be a little bit more smaller, and I want it to be defined. And originally Asian nose have a little bit more rounder nose tip. I want it to be defined, so I asked him for a little bit more like a square shaped nose tip, so it's a little bit more defined. It's a little bit more swollen right now, so it's hard for you to see. Also my right side is a little bit more swelling, so kind of like pushing my tip to my left side a little bit. So right now, because of the swelling, it's still a little bit more crooked to like one side. So you can see it's like this side is really straight, but the nose tip is kind of like to one side right now because it's still swelling on one side and kind of like pushing to the other. Because this side I think is this side is a little bit more less swelling, and this side is kind of swelling, so it's kind of like pushing it to the other side. But once it's like going down, it's gonna be a little bit more straighter and lift up a little bit. So all of that. So right now everything is still swollen. And again, if you haven't seen my 7 days recovery, I'm gonna link the link right down below. And what else? What did I miss? So 7 days after surgery. So we'll recommend getting a lot of a good chapstick to use, because your mouth gonna be really dry, because you're mostly gonna like breathe out of your mouth. Even though I didn't have a lot of like stuffing up to my nose, I did have like a plastic piece right in there to like kind of hold my nose together. But with the splinter that right on top of your nose that kind of like pinch your nose, so it's kind of like impossible for you to breathe. Also, it's kind of like raw feeling right inside your nose, so once you like breathe in, you can feel the cold, and over time it's getting a little bit more raw because everything is still cut in there and still raw on the skin. So I would recommend, you can still breathe through your nose a little bit, but breathe through your mouth a lot. So you just have to like sacrifice and breathe through your mouth and be dry for like the next few days. I think it doesn't get better until like the day 5 or 6. Like the next day after the surgery, like, oh, this is nothing, I can't feel anything because I still have under anesthesia, and I guess the painkiller is still in there. But then the day 2 or day 3, you can start feeling all the fluid buildup and all the swelling that press against the cartilage, the splinter that can like press against it and make it a little bit more pressure, and you can't really blow your nose also, so the only way you can blow your nose is like suck it back inside. So kind of like doing it a reverse. Also when you drink water, it's kind of like drowning because you can't breathe with your nose, imagine you just squeeze your nose and you can't breathe with your nose, but then you have to drink, so you can't, kind of like, it's just weird. Just try it. It's like you're drowning, like you go under the pool and you're trying to breathe in with your nose. That's how it feels when you like drink water with it. So after 1 month, I think I showed you on my video also, after 1 month I went into another consultation for 1 month checkup. So after a week of your surgery, you go in and you take out all the stuff on my video, the splinter, and then you can breathe. But then I would recommend keeping your tape in for like at least a month or 2. I'm gonna try to keep my nose tape as long as possible, up to like 3 months to help with swelling. And the reason why I would recommend having a thicker skin to keep them taped, because it's kind of like preventing internal scarring, which I got before, which he already cut everything out. So we're trying to tape everything down so it's kind of like heal into my skin, so it doesn't give me like internal scarring, and then it's just gonna go back up if it does. But then after 1 month surgery, after checkup, we went in and put and shoot some steroid into my nose to help the swelling go down, especially on my super tip, right in here where the break's supposed to be, like right here. That's like the last part of your recovery that's gonna go down. You want it to be like really shrink right in there. So we did go in with the steroid to kind of prevent it from scarring. So yeah, so that's what we did. Also, I get some Botox. A lot of people ask, does it hurt? It doesn't hurt. You can't really feel anything. Like right now, my nose tip, I guess I can still feel like the implants right in there is not really like stable yet. So I can't like, even when I do my makeup, if I like touch it, I can feel like it's kind of like move a little bit. I can feel like it's jiggle. So I can feel like the vibration from the inside. It's a little bit more sensitive. Does the whole thing hurt? I would say it doesn't hurt. You couldn't feel your whole nose. It doesn't hurt. It's feel raw from breathing. So that's the only most painful part of the rhinoplasty. So it doesn't hurt. Also, during the surgery, I did not only get my rhinoplasty, also like we was debating to get my buccal fat. Buccal fat is like the fat right in, like around the cheek right in here. So I wanted to take those out. We was like debating 50-50 because I'm already like Asian, already skinny. And he was like, do you really need to take the buccal fat out? I was like 50-50, but the last minute, the day of the surgery, I was like, hell, take it out. So we did take out my buccal fat surgery, which is kind of a good decision because he did use the remaining fat to kind of inject into my nose tip right in here to kind of like fix the internal scarring that left by the other silicone, because it's kind of like left a dent right into my nose tip. So now he kind of inject the fat right in there to kind of like pushing back out. So yeah, so we got buccal fat removal and rhinoplasty in one sitting. And the buccal fat removal is like just go into my mouth, and then there's like 2 cut right in there. I couldn't like feel it. The surgery, the stitch fell off like 2 days after, and it doesn't really hurt. It does swell up for like the next like few days, but you can't really feel it. If you could just go home and do like warm compression or do like massage your face, it's gonna help with the swelling to go down. And last but not least, a lot of people ask for like how much, and I know a lot of other people who create like nose surgery, they don't really tell you how much the whole surgery costs, but I'm going to tell you exactly how much it costs based on 3 other doctors. I have the receipt right in here. So after I go do research, since I'm in LA, majority of the surgery going to be ranged around 7 to 10 to 15, 20, depends where you live. It can range around there, depends on what you want for your surgery, how complicated your surgery is. And my surgery personally is under the umbrella of like more complicated reconstruction surgery. and all of that. And since it's more like a revision, it's a little bit more expensive. If you're having like a primary surgery, I think it's going to be cheaper because they know that nobody can like mess up your nose anatomy yet. But if you look at getting a revision, it's definitely going to be a little bit more pricier than a primary revision. So since my nose is going to be more complicated, more difficult surgery, so the price of my surgery is, I have the surgery receipt right here actually. So the total price of my nose surgery is $15,000, and I have the receipt right in here. See?
Oh my God!
So that's gonna be my surgery.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
It is hella expensive for LA. I know it's much cheaper if you do from like Korea, but then I don't want to do from like out of country. Then you don't get that personal one-on-one checkup with your doctor to get your steroid, for your doctor to check how your nose is doing. Because after the surgery, you want to go in, stitch remove, and then 2 weeks checkup, 1 month checkup, 3 month checkup. So after my surgery, I do go back to Dr. Hyman every single month and to check my nose, how it's doing, if we need injection for steroids. So everything is kind of including into that price, and that is including all the room, surgical room rental, all the, so include everything. It's like everything in there. So it's going to be $15. Also, I got the buccal fat removal. It's not included to that. And the buccal fat removal, my cost was $3,500 extra from the $15,000. So that's going to be $18,500 total for my whole surgery with the nose surgery and then the buccal fat surgery. I know, it's like a lot of money. But for some reason, rhinoplasty is one of the most expensive nose job. I didn't know booth job and everything else was like under 10,000. So we got saved for that. So that's gonna be up next. But yeah, so that's how much it costs to get rhinoplasty here in LA. And if you go to like a bigger doctor, it's gonna go up to like $22,000 to $24,000. Because one of the other doctors that I was looking at was like up to $22,000. So yeah, so I think I'm gonna go ahead, and if I happen to miss anything, do leave a message right down below. And I love to answer any rhinoplasty, any surgery, because I do have a lot of other surgery coming up. So do DM me privately if you want to be a little bit more private. DM me on my Instagram at bella.c.snow. If not, you can also leave me a question on my message right down below, and I love to answer any of the questions that I missed today. I hope I didn't miss anything today. So yeah, so if I happen to miss anything, just leave a message, comment, because I have to go get dressed, and then we're gonna go out to dinner for Valentine's Day. So that is about it, about this part 3 of my surgery. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, oh, excuse me. So if you haven't watched part 1 or part 2 of my surgery, I'm gonna leave those link right down below. Oh, one more thing: when you sneeze during your rhinoplasty, so you can't really sneeze out your nose, so you have to open your mouth to sneeze. So that is actually weird also. So that's another thing when you have your rhinoplasty surgery, like the first 7 days. This is it for my part 3. So happy Valentine's. If you happen to like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel right down below. Ring the bell button right here. I'm gonna try to post more video more often this year. I know I have a little bit more surgeries, so if I happen to like off the grid for a minute, I'm probably recovering from something. So don't forget to follow me on my Instagram at bella.c.snow. Also, I post practically on my Instagram Instagram story almost every single day. Also, you can find other story on my IGTV on Instagram also. So that's about it. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. Just finished having dinner at Cafe Bisou. It's a French restaurant in Agora Hill. We've been there like a few times, and practically one of the only restaurants we've been here to since the pandemic. So it's really nice. been a long time since I drank anything.